The train whistle echoed through the deserted station as Michael stepped onto the dimly lit platform, his footsteps heavy with the weight of unshakable guilt. Shadows clung to every corner, and the flickering fluorescent lights did little to pierce the gloom enveloping the decrepit station. The chilly night air gnawed at him, seeping through the thin fabric of his worn coat, but he barely noticed. His mind was awash with memories of his sister, Emily, her laughter, now a haunting echo in the chambers of his heart, eclipsed by the unsettling silence of her unexplained disappearance 3 years prior. Sleepless nights and countless days spent searching had led him here, to this moment. Tonight, he was boarding the last evening train, a journey he wasn't sure he'd return from, but one he felt inexorably drawn to, as if the answers he sought lay somewhere along those rusted tracks stretching into oblivion. Settling into an old carriage that seemed anachronistic amidst the modern trains, Michael observed his surroundings with a mix of curiosity and unease. The interior was a relic of a bygone era, adorned with ornate woodwork and upholstered seats that bore the marks of time. Flickering gas lamps cast elongated shadows that danced along the walls, their amber glow highlighting intricate patterns etched into the mahogany panels. The air was thick with the scent of aged leather and a faint whiff of mothballs. Passengers filled the seats, yet something felt undeniably off. An elderly woman in Victorian attire clutched a lace parasol, her gloved hands trembling ever so slightly. Across from him, a soldier in a faded World War I uniform stared blankly out the window, his eyes hollow and distant. A flapper girl with bobbed hair and a feathered headband sat poised, her crimson lips curved into a wistful smile as she fiddled with a string of pearls. Their clothes, their mannerisms, all suggested they belonged to different eras, displaced in time yet inexplicably gathered here. As the train lurched forward with a groan of metal and steam, Michael felt a knot tighten in his stomach. The rhythmic clattering of the wheels seemed to sync with the erratic beating of his heart. The passengers began to speak in hushed tones, sharing fragments of their lives as if compelled by some unseen force. The soldier recounted the horrors of the trenches, his voice a hollow echo of lost youth and innocence shattered. He spoke of gas attacks and the relentless barrage of artillery, of friends lost to the mud, and the deafening silence that followed each onslaught. The flapper reminisced about forbidden dances and whispered secrets in smoky speakeasies, her eyes reflecting a deep-seated sorrow beneath the veneer of revelry. The elderly woman spoke of a love that never returned from sea, her words laced with unending longing and unacknowledged despair. Each tale was steeped in regret and yearning, threaded with a common theme, missed chances and unresolved endings that left their souls tethered to the past. Michael listened intently, a creeping realization dawning upon him with each story. These were not mere passengers sharing anecdotes. They were echoes from different times, specters caught between worlds. He glanced out the window, watching in disbelief as the scenery blurred into a kaleidoscope of shifting landscapes. Modern skyscrapers dissolved into cobblestone streets lined with gas lamps. Horse-drawn carriages replaced cars, and fashions regressed with each passing moment. Time was unraveling, the fabric of reality fraying at the edges. Fear gripped him as he understood that this train was not bound by the physical realm, but was traversing the corridors of time itself. Panic surged within him, but the other passengers remained eerily unfazed, their conversations looping endlessly like a broken record. Desperate for answers, he rose from his seat to explore the train, hoping to find some semblance of normalcy. The corridors seemed to stretch on impossibly, the architecture shifting subtly with each compartment he passed. A regal parlor car from the 1800s, an austere coach lit by candlelight, followed by minimalist designs that felt cold and sterile. The walls pulsed as if alive, and the air grew thin, making it difficult to breathe. In the midst of his disoriented wanderings, a familiar melody drifted through the suffocating atmosphere. A lullaby his mother used to sing when he and Emily were children. The soft notes cut through the haze, guiding him toward a door at the end of a narrowing hallway. With hesitant hands, he pushed it open and stepped into a compartment bathed in a pale, ethereal glow. Inside sat Emily, just as he remembered her. The same auburn curls framing her delicate face, the silver bracelet tinkling softly on her wrist. She was humming the lullaby, her fingers gently tracing the worn fabric of a teddy bear clutched to her chest. "Emily!" he exclaimed, a mixture of joy and disbelief surging through him. She looked up slowly, her gaze meeting his with an intensity that sent a chill down his spine. "You left me," she whispered, her voice echoing unnaturally in the confined space. Her eyes bore into his, reflecting not the warmth of the sister he cherished, but a depth of pain and betrayal. Memories flooded back, moments he had pushed aside, buried under layers of denial. He recalled the nights she sought his comfort, only to be met with indifference, the signs of her silent struggles that he had willfully ignored. The realization hit him like a tidal wave. His neglect had driven her into isolation, leading to her disappearance. Overwhelmed by guilt, Michael fell to his knees. "I'm so sorry, Emily. I should have been there for you," he pleaded, his voice breaking as tears streamed down his face. The compartment began to warp, the walls bending and shadows twisting into ominous shapes. "It's too late," she uttered, her form flickering like a fading apparition. The other passengers appeared behind her, their faces expressionless, yet their eyes filled with accusation. They formed a circle around him, their voices rising in a discordant chorus of lamentations and reproach. The weight of their collective sorrow bore down upon him, a crushing force that threatened to engulf his very essence. Michael struggled to breathe, his surroundings closing in as the tempest of regret and fear reached a fever pitch. In a final surge of desperation, he reached out to embrace his sister. As his fingers brushed against her, a blinding light erupted, consuming everything in its brilliance. For a moment, there was nothing but the void, a serene silence where time ceased to exist. Then, gradually, sensations returned. The scent of morning dew, the distant chirping of birds, the warmth of the rising sun on his face. Michael found himself lying on the platform where his journey had begun, the train tracks glinting softly under the golden light of dawn. The spectral train and its ghostly passengers had vanished without a trace. As he pushed himself upright, he felt something clenched in his hand. Opening his palm, he gazed in astonishment at Emily's teddy bear, tangible and real. A profound sense of peace washed over him. Though he couldn't change the past, he understood that he had been given a chance to confront his guilt and seek redemption. The haunting journey had been a crucible for his remorse, forcing him to face the truths he had long avoided. Michael rose to his feet, the weight on his shoulders lighter than it had been in years. The world around him seemed sharper, more vivid. The chirping of the birds, the rustling of leaves, the distant hum of city life awakening. He walked away from the station with renewed purpose, clutching the teddy bear as a symbol of his vow to honor Emily's memory. He would live fully, cherishing those around him, and never again turn a blind eye to the silent struggles of others. The last evening train had taken him through the shadows of time and fear, but it had also brought him back to forgiveness, understanding, and a future where hope still flickered like a steadfast flame. Reaching the edge of the platform, Michael took one last look back. The station was now bustling with commuters, oblivious to the supernatural events of the night. He smiled faintly, a sense of closure settling within him. As he stepped onto the city streets, bathed in morning light, he felt the stirrings of a new beginning. The echoes of the past no longer haunted him, but had become a part of him, guiding him toward a path of compassion and empathy. The journey had not been his final one, but rather the first step toward reconciliation, with his sister's memory, with those he had wronged, and with himself. And as he walked toward the horizon, the shadows receded, replaced by the promise of redemption and the enduring strength of the human spirit.